listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast by Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb, Dr. Frederick J. Long, Dr. Mario Melendez, Dr. Jennifer Noonan, and J. M. Smith. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to Proof Text. This is Constituent Marking with Fred Long, and I am Fred Long. We're looking at 1 Corinthians 12:9 today. I also have verse 10 there because there are some parallelism that I want us to begin to see. So verse 9 of 1 Corinthians 12 reads, Etero pistis ento avto pneumati allo charismata ia maton ento eni pneumati. All right, now there are no verbs here, but what we do see, and there's no connectors, so no connector, but what we do see are some parallelisms, etero pistis and allo charismata. These are the gifts, and we have the verb didote, that is being resupplied, is given. And then we see some prepositions and that are stressing different kinds of things. So you have the same spirit. You have ento avto pneumati. The to avto is a particular use of the preposition avtos, and it's an identical use, which I think originates from the intensive use where it means self, which comes from the pronominal addition. You can actually add the pronoun avtos to intensify subjects, not just third-person subjects, because this is a third-person pronoun, but also first and second-person subjects as well. So I'm thinking that the intensive use arises out of that pronominal intensification of the subject. And then I think this identical use that has the article, that it arises with the out of the intensive use, the same spirit. So here we have in the same spirit. So faith or allegiance, some kind of faith is given, understood, didote, is given etero, to another, and by the same spirit. So in the same spirit. And is the preposition and can function as an intensive instrumental, can be used to indicate instrument, even with persons. So we need not be too concerned that, is this objectifying the spirit or somehow not treating the spirit as a person. No, it is the spirit is a person in our theological understanding. Jesus sometimes is used with N to indicate that he is the instrument used by the Lord God to achieve things. So the second part of verse 9 is allo, dative case, dotted, underlined. So etero, dative, because they're indirect object, and allo, dative, are dotted, underlined because they are the indirect object of the implied verb didote. And then we have the second part is allo charismata, single underline. This is the subject. Ia maton, the gifts of healings. Ento eni pneumati, in the same, any. So any is an adjective meaning one. And so what's being stressed here is the same spirit and the one spirit. So the one and the same spirit lies behind the faith gift and the gifting of healings, the maton. And so, all of this, remember, is building from verse 8, which picked up these as the objects, the o relative pronoun dative and the allo other, meaning another to another, and each of these is built forward pointed by the men of verse 8 and the de of 8b in a list. And then all of these are understanding the verb dilte, which is re-understood also in verse 8b, and then also in our verse. And all of this is building from the ikasto, which is building on the enpanpasin of the previous verse 6. So yeah, the discourse is unfolding, and we're getting a distribution list of gifts. And that list is continuing in verse 9, which we just looked at today, with a syndeton, because we're kind of in a list of, I think, parallel ideas. So this initial de in verse 8, after the men, isn't needed again. The men and the de tell us that we have a forward-pointing, unfolding list, and then we're getting different adjectives, heteros, thrown into the mix to indicate that there are others added to it who are receiving gifts. All right, well, I'm going to stop there, and we'll pick up next time with 1 Corinthians 12:10. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glossa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glossa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glossahouse.com today. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.